Does anybody else have interest in this or would like to be nominated? We'll try to keep this as the best committee in town.
With you at the head, no problem.
Thank you, John. I appreciate that. So rumor on the street, Dee, is we have a few cases tonight.
We do indeed. Would you like me to read the first one?
Yeah, do you need to set it up first or just read it first?
Well, I'm going to let you know that I'm going to read the first one, but we had a request to continue it. But for the record, case number 21-05, a request from DC Development and Construction LLC for a variance from Article 6, Section 220-48 G3 to permit reduced setbacks from foundation to foundation from the minimum of 50 feet to no closer than 30 feet. The property is referred to as Sweet Hill Road Rear, Tax Map 41, Lot 83. It's also commonly known as the Palmer property in the MDR zoning district. And it is accessed by an extension of Stephen C. Savage Way. The property owner of record is John Alden Palmer Jr., Revocable Trust of 2006, Janice Palmer, successor trustee. I received a request on Monday, April 26th that reads as follows. Good morning, Dee. Would you please accept this email as a formal request to continue the Zoning Board of Adjustment hearing for the above action, which is noted in the subject line as DC Palmer property, from April 29th to the next hearing date, and it is signed project manager Charlie Zilch.
Okay.
The next available hearing date would be May 27th.
Okay, do we have a motion?
You don't need a motion on this.
Oh, I guess not. Good point.
Just as the chair would need to state for the record the date and the time of the continuance.
I'm sorry, what?
You just need to, as the chairman, state for the record that the date and time of the what the date and time of the continuance is to.
Okay, this continuance is being made to whatever Dee just said.
May 27th.
May 27th. The meeting is 6:30.
Right. For anybody in the participants who is here for that matter, this is the only notification that you will get. You will not get an additional mailing on this matter.
So I assume that the drawings that we have of this are no longer valid.
I would not assume that yet until I have been told otherwise. So hang on to the
so please hang on to the whole packet.
The whole packet for now.
Well, we got through that one in record time.
Are we ready for the next one?
I am ready for the next one.
Okay, case number 21-06, a request from John W. Doherty for a variance from Article 5, Section 220-32I to permit construction of a 24-foot by 28-foot garage 10 feet from the side property line where 15 feet is the minimum required. The property is located at 97 Main Street, tax map 39, lot 77, in the Village Center zoning district. The property owner of record is Doherty Family Revocable Trust, John W. and Deirdre Doherty trustees. I'm going to unmute them.
Good evening, folks.
You need
Excuse me.
to
Hello.
unmute. There you go. You're good.
Hi.
Hi, Dee. One
Hi.
second, before we
Are you-
get, move forward with this, I need to, because of a conflict, recuse myself, and we're gonna put Jim in.
Yes, good point.
Thank you.
So John Gifford is sitting this out. At least through the deliberations part. And I'm appointing Jim Unger as voting member for this case.
I'm going to mute Mr. Gifford so he is not tempted to participate.
But as a resident of town, he still has the ability to ask questions and
Then he can raise his hand like the others have to.
I was just about to say that, Dee. Thank you much.
Just wondering why they can't see us.
Actually, I see
Ask
we have a question already.
I don't see one. Oh.
I think we'll get to this later
I
during.
think it's on the one that's already been continued.
Oh, okay, fine.
I'll double check, but go ahead. You can continue.
Okay, so John, who's speaking for you? John or Deirdre or both?
Yes, I'm Deirdre.
We're both here.
Um,
John and Deirdre are here.
Okay,
I'm not sure why you can't see us.
Because you have to turn your camera on.
Hmm.
down on the bottom left, there's a thing that says, there's like a video camera looking thing. It should say start video.
Hmm.
There'll be a red
I
line through it.
typically see because I do.
Let's
yeah.
look.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
It's
It
a
may be
select microphone. It doesn't say.
Honey, you've been doing this with Jasper
I
for
know.
school.
Don.
I think it may be because you're just listed as a participant as opposed to a panelist.
Okay.
Can you change that, Dee?
Let me see what I can do.
Yeah, John and Deirdre, Dee is basically all powerful here. She's kind of like the Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, let's not go
Oh,
that
yeah.
far.
Here's the group. Let me see.
Stop touching things.
What do you mean?
Now you should see in the bottom left corner a little
Yeah, under
video
stop
camera
video.
that says share video.
No, start video.
Video settings.
Video.
See it?
No.
I don't know, Dee. It doesn't-
Video's not required. We can hear you fine.
Yeah, let's just leave it.
Can you see us?
Yes, yeah.
Yep. moving
Okay,
on.
so if we would have put anything up on the screen, you'd be able to see it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it still says failed. Please select another. Yeah, it's fine. Okay,
Sorry.
sorry about that.
No
Hey.
problem.
Technology problems happen.
Oh, too many times, I'm afraid. I'm a Zoom Grammy, so it's been interesting.
Okay,
You're good to start.
so what are you folks looking at doing here?
Well, basically, right now we have on our property is a 10 by 20 foot garage. It's a single car. 2 10 by 12 sheds. The 2 10 by 12 sheds I'm giving away to my neighbor. The 10 by 20 garage I'm tearing down. I would like to put a 24 by 28 foot garage further back on my property.
Okay. What are you planning on doing with the, hold on a second. The existing canvas garage?
That's just that's not even a garage. That's my dog kennel. The land surveyor miswrote that. That's just a dog kennel with a temporary canopy roof on there. It's actually sitting on top of my leach field. It's only to protect the materials that were in my garage and my sheds. I've stuffed them in that thing.
Hey, we could see you folks now.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I basically just, that's only temporary. That will be coming up when the garage gets built.
Okay,
So he wrote down the 10 by 20 shed in the front. That's actually a garage. There's 2 sheds that are behind
Sure.
that.
yep,
And then the kennel that he called the garage is just that. It's a dog kennel.
okay. And we're here because the proposed garage is 10 feet, would be 10 feet from the side setback, right?
That is correct. And right now, the way the 2 sheds in the garage, it's in a straight line to my property line, and it's about 3 feet off the existing property line. So I'm looking to put the new garage 10 feet off the property line and put a fence in line with my property line.
Mhm. So one thing I see that is just a little concerning is the lot coverage.
So my intention there is I have a concrete slab. You may see it on the back of the property. It's on my,
Actually, let me share the screen and let me share the screen and we will, I can bring that up. I believe.
Yeah.
You folks seeing it?
yes,
Yes.
Wow, what do you know? Sometimes things work.
you're awesome.
Wow.
Way better than we are.
I had practice. This is my second meeting today.
Sure it is. So the concrete patio that's in the back, I'm cutting that up. Kid is coming out
You
next
mean
week.
this?
I'm cutting that
Yes.
in. It's a 10-foot concrete poured patio. I'm
Yep.
taking, so that's my impervious area. And the calculations that I made to go not over the 20% would be, I'd have to remove that, which I'm fine with because I really want that to be a landscaping area now where I'm putting the garage there. And if you see in the back of my property where I abut the Plaistow Fish and Game,
Oh, yep,
back in 2017, I put in a new leach field septic system. And what's happening is my leach field is now kind of washing through the chain link fence of Plaistow Fish and Game. So my intention is to take the concrete patio, which is a 4-inch slab, slice it up into 16-inch slices, and then stack it as a barrier, a wall between my field and the chain link fence. So I'm kind of repurposing the patio, and that I'm hoping that puts me within that 20% range of non-pervious ground, which I think it is. By removing the 2 sheds, the garage, the sidewalk that goes down along in front of the sheds, that's a poured concrete sidewalk. And then the 10-foot slab behind my house is also going to be removed.
put slab behind your house. Oh, yeah, okay, this. So this.
Correct.
So I gotta ask, how are you gonna get from your driveway, which ends here, to the garage?
Well, the fence line, now, back in 2012, I think it was, a 10, when we had the ice storm, where you see the shrub row towards the front of my yard there,
Yeah, yep, here.
Yep.
and all them stones, all the arborvitaes, I put all them in place when those 13 pine trees came tumbling into my truck that night during that ice storm. So that line of the stones are, I know they're on my neighbor's, Jay's property, my neighbor. I know they're on his property, but he was fine with what I did. And my fence line will basically follow right through to where you see in the very back corner. And so will my driveway. Theoretically will go straight forward, but it's not going to be all asphalt. I want to do crushed gravel. Will you see, like they say, existing shed, the 10 by 20?
Yep.
And then the next one, which is a 10 by 12,
Yep,
that's basically a gravel area for me to park I have a cube van, a 15-foot box truck. So what that allows me to do is bring my truck back further on my driveway. But the driveway is actually going to get continued into the face of the garage. It's a 16-foot garage door. So it's going to take a little turn into the driveway. I mean, into the garage.
I guess the difficulty I see with that, I see a couple points that I think you need to consider.
Mhm.
The first is, while the paved driveway up here is grandfathered,
Right?
new driveway, a driveway has to also not be in the setback. So I don't see how we could take without a variance for the driveway, I don't see how you can bring it out to that garage.
Well, right now that existing shed, which is really a garage, is 3 feet off the property.
I understand that.
That's a non-pervious site right there.
Right, so the town of Plaistow doesn't define coverage as being only non-pervious.
Okay,
Even, what's the right term, pervious? Gravel driveways count towards the lot coverage.
okay.
So, and then there's a setback issue with it.
Right.
So I think, again, just for the board, we could talk about this as a board here, obviously, but unless, the only way around that is if we somehow considered the paved drive as part of a garage in one variance. And I'm not personally very comfortable with that.
No, neither am I, because I'm being taxed on my structures on the property, not my driveway. But like I said, I mean, the way that sits today, I'm 3 feet off my property line with my slab of the garage. And now I'm going to be 10 feet.
Yeah, I hear you. But, and some of these two sheds, or something, there's something there.
Is there gravel between the two sheds?
Under them.
No, it's just dirt.
Okay.
And there's like 2 feet between the shed in the garage and the shed in the next shed. Just 2 feet.
Are these sheds permitted?
No, they're gonna be airlifted right off the property.
No. Presently, did you pull permits to build these?
Now, that was 11 years ago. I don't remember.
Okay.
Where it's taxed on them, I know that.
It's on my tax map and everything.
Oh, I'm sure. Sadly, I'll tell you, the building inspector's office and the assessor's office do not speak together.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
well,
So the assessor probably saw it during.
I honestly can't say if I pulled a permit. It was recently after I bought this property. And I can't tell you for sure. If I
Okay.
went down and saw D at that time, I have a few permits on the property. I'm not guaranteed that
Sure.
I do have a permit.
So anyhow, I'm thinking that you need, again, other board, this is only BELO opinion. This is not the board opinion at this point. I'm thinking you need a couple other variances. You need a variance for the driveway extension.
Well,
being
forget the
within
driveway.
setback.
I'll put a gravel driveway in.
Said so.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
No, it could.
Do you see where my property sits today?
Yes,
Do you see it? Do you see the garage where it sits today?
yes,
It's 3 feet off my property line.
okay.
I theoretically have like almost a concrete driveway all the way to the back of my yard between two sheds and a garage. I'm not really changing my pervious ground.
Well, I believe that's a problem right now. In order for you to do anything, to rebuild that driveway, or do anything, to go to the front of that proposed garage, you're gonna need a permit for setback for the driveway,
That's what we're doing tonight. I thought I'm talking to you people tonight about my setbacks.
for the garage. You applied for a setback for the garage.
Yeah, which,
A driveway is not a garage.
okay, all right. I would have put it on there for it if
And
I knew that was a problem too.
And the second issue is where your surveyor said the existing impervious area, which is not your total coverage, just what's impervious, is 30, your proposed is 32%,
Yeah.
which is over what's allowed in the medium density residential area, which is 30%. Now, granted, it's only 2% over, but you need to get a variance.
Did he remove the concrete slab in the back I told him I was taking out?
I have no idea what he used in his calculations.
He
It
said
says
it-
existing concrete apron to be removed on the plan.
Okay.
He said I was,
and
he
the
said I was
propo-
clear. I
the
talked to
proposed
Jim.
impervious area would be 32%. So it goes down, but it's still beyond what the town allows. Now,
Okay.
again, I'm not being a stickler on this. I'm not saying we wouldn't grant a variance. I don't know. Okay, but you need a variance for that.
Yeah. Well, I kind of knew about I thought it was 20%, no?
Nope, 30.
30. So given that, that's why I decided to cut and I thought I told Jim, he said, oh, you're gonna fly through the coverage. That's what he told me today. So you're saying I'm 2% over, it's not what Jim told me today.
Okay,
And so I'm hearing two different things right now. He said I was fine as far as my lot coverage, because I told him I was concerned about that.
he may not know Plaistow zoning.
Yeah.
Okay, but I did look this up and it is 30%.
Peter, I have a quick question,
Sure,
if I may.
of course.
He's in the Village Center District.
Yes,
And so a standard lot today in the Village Center is 40,000 square feet.
right.
So we're dealing with a lot that's a third of that size. So I'm sure he would need a variance, I guess, for the percentage of impervious, but our percentage of impervious is based on 40,000 square feet.
Well,
What I'm saying?
30% of anything is 30%. It doesn't
Yeah,
matter if it's 40,000 or 80,000.
Yeah, Jim, the way.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is the zoning is set up to allow you to have 30% of 40,000,
That's
which is literally
incorrect.
like 12,000 square feet impervious.
That's
No.
incorrect. It's 30% of the lot size.
Oh, okay. Well, it's just saying the minimum lot size is 40,000. So I assumed. they
That's if
brought
you were
the base-
creating a lot in the Village Center District.
Yeah.
It has to be at least 40,000 square feet.
But there's a lot of older lots that don't come anywhere near that.
Right.
I guess,
right, I'm just-
Jim, I guess my analogy to that would be, think about the low density residential zone, which is 2.5 acres, right? It's also 30% lot coverage in the low density residential. But there's a number of existing lots that predate the zoning that
Right.
again are this size, that they're 13,000, 15,000 square feet in low density residential. If your interpretation were correct, then you'd be able to pave the whole lot because it's so small.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
So,
No, I'm not saying he would get 30% of the 40,000. I would just think that when you're dealing with a lot that's a third the size, if he went for a variance, it would be something he'd need a variance for, I guess, is what you said.
that's my thinking, yeah.
So what is it you're saying we need to do?
So we could go, again, this is my interpretation. The board hasn't gone into deliberation yet and discussed this as a whole, but I think you have a couple options. One is to go forward and we either grant this variance or not. But if we grant the variance for the proposed garage, there's likely to be conditions on it that you have to meet other things. You have to meet the lot coverage of 30% and or get a variance on it and meet the driveway extension setback limit or get a variance on it. Or, I'm not sure if this is best for you. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not trying to advise you. Or you can ask for continuance for this whole thing, take it offline, and we can, look at it again next month once you've considered these things with your surveyor or whoever. And if you ask for a continuance, that's fine. That just means no decisions made. It's not a prejudice thing. And, you know, we'll hear you next time you're here, just like the last applicant had a
Well,
last minute.
honestly, Peter, I mean, I've done everything that's asked of this town to go for a variance, okay? And if the driveway was ever brought up, I would have put that on here as a separate variance at the time.
Yeah.
But it was never a concern. I mean, the concern was the garage being 10 feet off the property line, you know? I know I should be 15, but I mean, as I sit now, I got 3 buildings that are 3 feet. I thought it's a win-win for everybody. It's a win for my neighbor. Jay's all excited. I mean, as far as the town, it pushes it behind my house a little more. To me, it wasn't gonna be like it's not an eyesore like this ugly 1-car garage that sits at the end of my driveway. I mean, and had I known to finish this up tonight, I would have went for the variance of the driveway and everything.
Mr. Doherty,
Concern.
Mr. Doherty,
Yes, sir.
I have a question for you if you can hear me.
Yes, Gary.
Where your driveway ends, right in front of is where it says existing shed,
Right.
and you're going to continue that driveway, but is it going to go like at an angle and swoop down to the garage, or is it going to be all squared off?
That is correct, because if you look at, it's a 24-foot garage. I have a 16-foot door, so that gives me 4 feet. My door's in 4 feet from either side of the garage, correct?
So
That's
it's going to come down in a curving motion back to the,
correct. Because
Okay.
I really don't want to have all that asphalt in my yard. So it's going to be as curved as I have to make it. So everything where you see existing shed and the other 2 sheds, that's going to be more gravel. So, because I'm still want to put my truck there.
Yeah.
And then I'm 4 feet in from the side of the garage, the other side of the garage, closer to the Verizon building. And that's going to curve as well, obviously, so I can get out the driveway. So
okay,
it's going to funnel only at the driveway point and then kind of fan back towards the 16-foot-3 area.
okay, thank you. So Peter, wouldn't that kind of take the zoning issue for the driveway away? Because right there, it's going to stop going away from the fence and you'll have the clearance.
Yeah, but he was just saying that he wants to keep the gravel. If he was going to pull the gravel off where the existing shed is, if he was going to move the gravel in, 10, 15 feet, grass that area from there all the way back to the back fence, then yes, I would imagine that he would be a lot more compliant. But if he's going to take the existing sheds away and still leave all that gravel up to the property line and park a vehicle, it's a moot point.
If he removes the gravel and swoops the driveway down, that should take care of that issue on both of those possible ordinances.
I don't think
So-
he can't take 15 feet of gravel away.
So can I say this? Right where where the 1-car garage is, that's actually the line of my driveway, which is 3.3 feet off my property line, correct?
Yep.
So that's the edge of the asphalt today. But you can go back to the corner where it says 16-foot-3.
Right.
And I'm going to start turning that in at that point. I don't want that to be even to where it is existing today on the edge of that garage. It's going to be kicking in harder because you got to make that entrance into the garage that's 4 feet from the edge, obviously. There's a lot more, there is no asphalt there. That's all I can say. It's just, so I'm going to be the 10 feet to the garage and then another 4 feet to my garage door, which is 14 feet from my property line, is the greatest point of that, the widest point of that driveway. And then it's going to slope towards the front of the existing shed, but it's not going to be, that's not all getting infilled. I do not want that infilled with asphalt. So at that point of the garage, when I'm entering the garage door, my driveway is 14 feet from the property line right there.
Right there, yeah. But back here halfway, it isn't.
No, it will not be. No. But again, if I knew that driveway was a problem, I would have been on board with that one too. I didn't know that that was a, I'm thinking structures, you know what I mean? Obviously impervious material, that's why I already contemplated getting rid of my patio. But I didn't know the driveway would be a concern at that point.
Oops, oops.
I got a question on the driveway. If you put a driveway in, is it gonna be 14 feet wide from the garage going into the existing driveway?
It's gonna be 16 feet, the width of the garage door. And then it's gonna just funnel down to not even that 16.3. It's gonna be, well, actually I got a 12-foot gate I'm putting there. So it's my driveway is actually 12 feet from the outside edge of my house to the edge of the driveway.
Yeah.
So
It's going from 12 feet and then kind of going into a 16 foot, but
So where your proposed driveway meets the existing one, where my cursor is right now?
right, that is it. Well, it's right
Okay.
at the shed, actually.
Okay, fine. So
Yeah.
if you have a 12-foot gate, that means that the edge of this driveway is 4.3 feet from your property line, which is within the setback.
It's right within that area, yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. Because the shrub row that you're seeing is the arborvitaes I planted. And then there's a big row of rocks. And in front of those, my junipers and azaleas, and like 6
It's
inches,
not all driveway.
6 inches of those big rocks are actually on my property. And the 3 feet of the other side of those rocks are on my neighbor's property. But all the arborvitae, the junipers and the azaleas, they're on my property. And yeah, so
That's not all pavement.
right. So if he's saying it's 3.3 to my existing shed, that's 3.3 to my existing driveway, roughly,
Mhm.
give or take.
I got another question. Will that driveway add to the impervious area?
Yeah, sure.
It'll raise the 32%?
No, because he's taking out all the concrete.
Yes.
Yeah, but at the 32's with removing the concrete, I thought.
That's what it sounds like here.
Well, I was actually gonna get rid of the other concrete, but the wife wants me to wait a year until I can do what I need to do with the rest of the property, just so we have a place to sit on it. But I'm actually intending on taking out all that concrete on the side and the back. So the side is 10 feet and the back is about 11 feet wide. But I'm snapping it right at the very corner of my house there for now, and saving the rest until we decide how we're gonna landscape the backyard.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on the table again that, you know, we can go forward with this, but I think personally, I think it'd be a little more prudent for you to ask for a continuance.
I don't
Get with
want
the
to ask for a
building,
continuance. Why would I want to do that? I've been through all kinds of stuff to make this happen tonight.
because I think there's,
And I'm improving my lot, and that's all I've ever done to my property since I bought it back 11 years ago, is continually sock money into my house. And now I just want to push the garage back, and you're making some big deal out of a driveway. It doesn't make sense to me. I drive up and down these roads and I see what the heck is allowed in this town, and you can't allow this. That garage is going to look better than half the houses on this road. But I see what goes on in Sweet Hill, big steel buildings, garages, and freaking all them self-storage places. Come on.
okay, I'm
I
happy
thought
going
this was a
forward.
slam dunk.
I'm happy going forward with this tonight, if you wish.
Yeah, I hate to think that you guys think I'm doing something bad.
No, it's just a matter of,
What? They can build steel buildings on Sweet Hill or,
tell me about it. That's my neighbor, by the way.
yeah, but that's horrible. That should have never been allowed.
But I think at the end of the day, you you're gonna need 2 more variances. And it would just.
Why
be-
why am I not told this? I went through all these channels, all the steps. I've got the surveyor here.
Well, I'll tell you,
paid the fees.
your surveyor on his plan said your proposed impervious area is 32%. And, we didn't hire him,
No,
but
I
at the
did.
end of the day, the limit without a variance is 30%.
I know, but is he including this existing canvas garage?
I have no idea. I was gonna ask you
That's what I
that.
don't know,
Can I just say one thing?
which is a temporary structure. That's 200 square feet right there.
It says existing impervious area is 35% of our property. We're gonna be at 32, which is less than what's existing now.
Right, and so, but still,
Why
in
is
either
that?
case, you'd need a variance. And I'm not saying this board wouldn't grant it, but you didn't apply for one, so we can't rule on that tonight,
I applied for what I was told to apply for.
okay?
Well, I just want to get going here. I'm dealing with COVID too, and I'm getting antsy.
I'm with you on that, trust me, trust me.
Just want something to do.
Well, I guess, sounds like you'd like to carry on, so let's do that.
Excuse me, can I just recognize one thing for Mr. Doherty? Mr. Doherty, you just passed in this plan to my office today, so I know the building inspector didn't have the benefit of this plan to let you know that you needed to have the variance for the lot coverage. So that answers one of your questions about why you weren't told about the lot coverage.
See him all. He's very like a committed person.
Okay, let's go down the criteria for the variance for the garage then, shall we? I guess, Mr. or Mrs. Doherty, would you kind of, walk us through the 5 criteria for variance that must be granted?
The 5 criteria?
Yeah, facts supporting the request.
I'm sorry.
Where is the,
You got me off guard on that one.
hold on.
It says application for variance, Article 5, Section 220-32I. A variance, it defines what you're looking to do, and then underneath it says facts supporting the request. And there's 5 items.
Hold on.
Second page of your application.
Yeah, I don't have it in front of me right now. Hold on one second. Here it is.
You're asking Mr. Magoo to find it.
Well, if you guys don't have it handy, I'd be happy to read, what you wrote. I'm good with that.
Yeah, that's fine. I know I filled it out.
Oh, yeah. The
Probably
propo-
wasn't impressive.
The proposed variance will not be contrary to the public interest because the existing garage and 2 sheds will be removed and new garage set back 35 feet further than the existing buildings.
Yes.
The spirit and the intent of the ordinance is preserved because the existing garage and sheds currently sit 3 feet from the sideline. New garage will be 10 feet.
Yes.
There's substantial justice in granting the variance because you didn't list anything, but honestly, that's something that we have a lot of difficulty dealing with.
I don't know how to answer that. I'm sorry.
Honestly, that's a classic example of stuff that our legislature writes that nobody fully understands. The values of the surrounding properties won't be diminished because I believe the new garage will increase the value of both my property and my neighbors. The new structure will set on the property more proportionally, sorry. And literal enforcement of the provisions of the ordinance would result in an unnecessary hardship because by allowing the construction of this 2-car garage, my wife and I will have garage parking for our vehicles, also allows the parking of my truck to be set further back down the driveway behind a fence.
That's correct.
All right.
See, when I first moved to Plaistow, I had to file for an in-home business office.
Yes.
And so, the concern was the size of my truck. And
Yep.
where it was gonna sit. And I don't know, that was just a thought that ran through my head. I get to put it back another 30 feet, you know?
Right.
So,
ZBA members, does anybody else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I got a question. What are we gonna vote on? The building of the garage or the building of a garage and allow them to put a driveway in? Or,
The request was for a garage. The request is for actually not to put a garage in, is for a setback, a garage setback 10 feet from the side border.
so it's just the garage we're concerned with, not the driveway?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else?
Now, would he
folks?
have to come back and get another variance to put a driveway in at a later date if we allowed the garage?
I'll tell you, I would propose
A contingency?
a condition that happen.
Yeah, because we can't vote on something we can't see and it's not documented.
so what if I was to do a paver driveway? Does that make a difference?
No, it does not make a difference.
Doesn't make a difference.
Do you have the zoning, the definition of a coverage handy?
Yep, hold on just a second, please.
So yeah, let's read this so everybody can hear it.
Come on. Caught me off guard. I would have had it open. I'm going to read two definitions for you. One is going to be coverage. And the definition, this is from Article 2 of the Plaistow zoning ordinances. The definition of coverage is the percentage of the lot or land covered by the principal and accessory uses or structures and surfaced or paved, pervious or impervious areas. And then 220-9.1 is the section that governs residential driveways, and I'm scrolling to that. And that reads, all driveways in any residential district must comply with the rear and side setbacks as specified in table 220-32I. And that's for location of residential driveways. It does not distinguish between paved, gravel, paver, or dirt driveways. The driveways have to be compliance with the table 220-32I.
Okay, folks?
Yep.
Okay. Do we have anybody out there speaking in favor? I'm going to stop sharing if that's okay. Is there anybody speaking in favor of this proposal, of this variance proposal? Dee, anybody out there?
Let's give it just a half a second, see if anybody raises a hand. If you are speaking in favor of or opposition to this particular application, would you please raise your hand at this time? I did not receive any emails while we're waiting.
So nobody's speaking in favor, nobody's speaking, is anybody speaking against or have a question?
I see no hand raised and I see no questions in the box.
Okay. So unless you have any final comments on this, I'm going to call this hearing to a close, and we're going to enter a deliberative session. You folks are very, we're happy to have you listen in, but once we enter a deliberative session, we can't take any new testimony from you. And we'll debate this and come up with a decision. You're welcome to stick around for the decision, or you can D will notify you in 5 business days of the decision. If this is granted, you still need to wait 30 days before you actually begin any construction.
Yeah, I'm sorry, before they get a permit.
Before you get it, in order to allow someone else to ask for this to be reheard. If somebody else had new evidence or came out of the woodwork, as you will. Okay.
He wants to stay.
I just like to have an answer.
Absolutely. I mean, honestly, pretty much everybody does.
I've
But
been looking forward to this day for a few weeks.
Okay. In that case, I'm calling this hearing to a close, and we're going to enter deliberative session.
I'm going to change the applicant's status back to attendee and put them on mute.
Okay.
One second. Give me 1 second. Sorry. Okay, we're all set. Thank you.
Okay. Just to open the thing here, I'd like to make a motion. I move to grant the request for a variance from Article 5, Table 220-32I, to allow a residential garage to be built no closer than 10 feet from the side property line at 97 Main Street, tax map 39, lot 77, with the following conditions. The variance is granted for the garage only. Any extension of the driveway will require its own variance to be in compliance with 220-9.1. The property owner must either reduce the lot coverage as defined in Article 2 to a maximum of 30% or less to be in compliance with Article 5, Table 220-32D.C3, or must obtain a variance for greater than 30% lot coverage. The property owner must provide certification to the Department of Building Safety that the location of the new garage is no closer to the side property line than 10 feet. And certification of the locations of structures and lot coverage must be by a licensed land surveyor. That's my proposal.
Sounds good.
So
Yeah, I
need a
agree.
Second, anyone?
I'll
I
second
second
that.
Okay.
Go ahead, John.
All right, I second the motion, Peter.
Okay. Discussion.
The only
Go
thing
ahead,
I
Gary.
see
One at a time.
is where he plans to bring the driveway in and curve it down. There's only going to be a small part at the very top that's up against that line. And then, it's going to go more than 10 feet, 15 feet away to the garage. So I don't see a problem with the driveway. As far as lot coverage goes, that's a whole different situation. If he can't get it down to 30%, that would be an issue.
But whether the driveway is paved or stone or a mixture of both, it's still the same. So you can't, I understand you move the driveway over, but if he's leaving stone in place where it is, it's
That
still
needs
the same.
He needs to take the stone out and put in grass
Exactly.
and just have the driveway there with no stone around it.
Correct.
Actually, we shouldn't be looking at solutions to problems that aren't directly in front of us, but maybe suggest that the applicant invite the building inspector over and they have a long talk about this.
That makes sense.
I agree with that.
Yep.
I personally don't have any problem with the garage. I think it's great, and I agree with him. This is another case of such a small lot that kind of puts a homeowner in a bad position to try to improve, and I don't see anything wrong with that garage. Just iron out the driveway problem, and he shouldn't have any problems.
Right, and lot coverage.
And lot coverage.
Well, he could go for a variance for lot coverage if he had to, correct?
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Because like John said, I agree that when these lots get smaller and smaller based on the actual zoning, it's very restrictive to people of existing lots that are small to try to meet all this zoning. So I would assume he'd just have to get variances for everything he can't meet.
And he is making it better than it is now.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
He's opening up the lot. It's not as confined.
Right.
It's, you know, less buildings is better.
Yeah, and it's further from the line.
Okay, so let's go through the variance 5 criteria. And again, we're not looking at the proposed garage only, really. The proposed variance isn't contrary to the public interest. I'm not seeing it's contrary to the public interest at all. The size of the garage is fine. Where he can put a garage, a 2-car garage on that property is pretty limited. You know, especially the septic is, looks like it's 5 or 6 feet off of it. Right now, he can't move that around a lot, very much, and it is a small property. The spirit and intent of the ordinance preserved. You know, I think, yeah, at the back end of a property, 10 feet off for this kind of use, I'm with neighbors not complaining, either his neighbor in back or neighbor next to him. I think that meets the spirit and intent. He's trying. Substantial justice. There's substantial justice in granting the variance, because like, if we said no to the garage, the town doesn't gain anything by that. Whereas if we say no to the garage, the owner loses a lot. Okay, so there is substantial justice. Values of the property, surrounding properties won't be diminished. I'm not seeing that at all. Any diminishment of property values. If anything, I believe it's going to increase the value of his own property, but it won't harm the others, which is all good. Literal enforcement would result in an unnecessary hardship.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. There's really, there's a hardship in the land, in this property. It's so small. And with existing zoning setbacks, it makes it extremely difficult to put a 2-car garage on this property, which I think is a reasonable structure to put on a property. So those are kind of my beliefs. Anybody want to discuss those?
I feel the same way.
Yeah, and I'd like to add, I go by there every day on my way to work, and the house is meticulous, and I believe that whatever he puts there, even if we can't see it, is going to be the same way.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you on that, John. In fact, we actually stopped there only once so far, but we'll stop there again and put a few books in in their lending library in front of their house. And it's a well done property from
Yes.
up close. We ready to vote, folks?
Yep.
Yep.
Dee, let's go through it.
Wait, just a half a second, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, what?
If you could give me just a half a second.
We'll give you 2 seconds.
Thank you.
Or more than 4 times what you're asking.
Okay, I'm ready. Gary Ingham,
Yes.
Jim Unger,
Yes.
Peter Bealow,
Yes.
Dan Lloyd,
Yes.
John Glenn.
Yes.
Your vote is 5-0-0 with the conditions.
With those conditions, okay. Okay, before we go forward, I guess, you know, Jim is already sworn in or sworn at or whatever. John's online here as well. Do either of you folks have anything to do? We could release somebody if you'd like to take off. John, you're muted.
I'm muted.
Oh, John
No,
Gifford
the other
is
John
muted.
Gifford
Oh.
was muted.
If Jim's standing in, I'll step out.
I'm fine. I'm
Okay,
good for fun.
you guys have a wonderful evening. I got stuff to do.
Bye, John.
Thank
Hi,
you.
John.
Bye, John.
Okay, Dee, would you read the next case, please?
Case number 21-07, a request from Eldar Baror for a variance from Article 3, Section 220-6 to permit a salvage yard, which is a non-conforming use and not permitted in any zoning district. The property is located at 233 Main Street, tax map 31, lot 21, in the MDR zoning district. The property owners of record are Lori E. Thomas Revocable Trust, Lori E. Thomas trustee, half interest, and Stephen R. Thomas and Judith R. Thomas Revocable Trust, Stephen R. Thomas and Judith R. Thomas trustees, half interest. And I'm going to unmute the applicant and his attorney.
Hey,
I unmute. Did you hear me?
Yes,
Okay.
I could ask you to state your name for the record, please.
thank you. My name is Gerald Prunier, and I'm an attorney in Nashua with an address of 20 Trafalgar Square in Nashua, New Hampshire. Do you want me to begin, Mr. Chairman?
Absolutely. Give us an idea of, what you'd like to do and such. We'll kind of wait a couple minutes before we slide into the 5 variance criteria. Okay?
Sure.
Okay.
I'm here representing the applicant who is concerned about the property located at 233 Main Street in Plaistow, for which for many years has been used as a salvage yard until just recently, the past couple of years. The property is properly fitted for salvage yards because nothing has been changed physically on the property. The property is 10 plus or minus acres. It is sandwiched between two other going businesses. And as you're familiar with, there are many other businesses on Main Street in that particular area. In this case, granting of the variance would not alter the essential character of the neighborhood. There would be no change. It would stay as it is, except for some improvements in painting and aesthetics. Neither would the public health, safety, or welfare be threatened. The improvements to be made by the applicant would help to make the neighborhood a little bit more up to date, and it would also help to with the values in the neighborhood. We have supplied a letter from a Mr. Doug Martin, who is a commercial realtor, indicating what he's considered as to any diminishing of values, and he states that there are none. I don't know if you want me to read that or sufficient in the record, Mr. Chairman, or you intend to read it, whatever the case may be.
I think we all have it. I personally have already read it. Has the rest of the board read this?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
You can read it or not, at your choice.
No, it's okay. The property's unique setting and its environment is reasonable given the surrounding of the properties. To make it used as a salvage yard, it has previously been used. There'll be no changes. And to try to use it for other purposes has not yielded any interest. The area is zoned residential. There is to be sandwiched in between these two businesses. There's no interest in the residential use of the property. The zoning restrictions as applied to these properties interfere with the reasonable use of the property, considering the unique setting of the property and its environment. The location of the property and the surrounding use make it difficult to use as residential, as I previously stated. And I believe my client, the applicant, is here as well, and would be glad to answer any questions the board may have.
Does anybody have any questions at this point? Okay,
Nope.
I guess one of I'm gonna make a comment and then ask a question. This property has been zoned residential for a number of years now. Dee, do you know when that zoning was changed?
1956,
1966.
56, 56.
56, 56. And obviously the use predates 1956. By the way, just to give you all an idea how long ago that was a year before I was born. So, but it's been in until 2017, it had been continued use as a salvage yard. I think the reason you folks are before us today is because the use as a salvage yard lapsed in 2017.
That is my
2018.
understanding.
And they had a year, I think, in order to renew it as a salvage yard. So that use as an appropriate use in the in that residential zone, lapsed. It's gone. There are some residences across the street from this property.
Yes,
There is a residence directly adjacent to this property.
yes,
Okay.
across the street.
No,
On the side, there are two businesses.
no, there's a residential use immediately north of this property. It's a smallish lot. I can't read the drawing I have here. Yeah, the drawing is sent us, by the way, from a while back. It's like totally unreadable. Sorry. I know it's quite old.
You also have some residences along Old County Road.
And then there's residences along there as well.
It's got here 3120. It's a residence right next to it
Yeah.
on the left.
So I guess I'm at a loss of why this land couldn't be used for residential use.
I have not explored for a client the use of that property, but I am told that there have been developers that have looked at the property, and for the fact of its location, that is namely in between really two businesses, one of which is also a salvage yard, and the use of the prior use of the property, that they had no interest in it.
I would
Okay.
think because that's been a salvage yard for so long, that the land itself, the soils, you'd have to remove an awful lot of stuff before you could put houses in there.
A lot.
That may be so, but we don't have evidence to that, Gary.
Well, like I said, I'm just saying for when I used to hang out there when I was a kid. And
Please don't
no, I'm not going any further.
don't tell the applicant you were trespassing on their property.
No, this is back when the Thomases owned it.
Okay.
I'm screen sharing the pictometry now.
Oh,
Can you
thank
see
you.
it?
Yep.
Yep.
So lot 3120's residential use, and I believe across the street, 3117 and a few more are as well.
And then everything down Kelly Road is
Yep.
residential.
Down Kelly Road is as well. Yep. And I also understand there's a bunch of wetlands here and back as well. Actually, Little River, I think, goes through there.
Yeah,
Down in the far back corner.
31.9.
Yeah.
Okay.
It certainly is an odd shaped.
This is true. How many acres total is this?
It's approximately, I'm told, about 10 plus acres
Okay.
in that vicinity. It goes a long ways in the back, as indicated. As mentioned, it is a weird shaped lot.
Yep.
It's 8.8 acres, the whole property, 8.8 acres.
Another issue is the exact variance you asked for. You're asking for a variance from Article 3, General Provisions 220-6. Our attorney has offered that the proper application should have been for a variance from Table 220-32F, the MDR permitted use table, not 220-6. To request a variance from 220-6 would be requesting the board issue a determination that the salvage yard use is a conforming use, which is not the question. I believe there's no question that it's a non-conforming use.
That's correct.
So this variance request is a little off, and I understand how you got there. The building inspector actually mentioned both of those items, as he mentioned General Provisions 220-6, and he also mentioned the table. But at the end of the day, it really needs to be off of the table of permitted uses in the MDR. I believe. Because I think, just speaking for myself, but I think the board would have difficulty in redefining salvage yard as a permitted use in town.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you were giving some sound advice to the previous applicant. Based upon what you're saying, I would probably, if the board would allow, to continue this variance so that I could apply for what town council seems to indicate is the correct variance. And we hold it at our next meeting.
Yes, I'm glad to offer that continuance. Again, without prejudice, obviously.
I understand. I understand.
We're happy to hear it done correctly. So I guess consider that granted.
Oh, I have a hand raised. Can you hold on just a second?
Okay.
I'm trying to get back there.
Well, he's doing that. I have a question for Mr. I can't even say the name. I'm sorry. I would crucify it.
I just want
Elliot.
to, I just want to note, if you're going to continue it, then the public hearing would stop at
Oh,
this
okay.
time. And it would
Okay.
continue. But I do have a hand raised. I just want to make sure that this person.
I'd like to, that's Mr. Lewis.
Yes,
I'd like to let Mr. Lewis ask his question and then we'll continue the hearing.
okay.
Okay?
Mr. Lewis, you have yourself on self-mute. If you'd like to ask the question, you need to unmute, please. There you go.
I unmute. Am I good now?
You're good.
Okay.
Could I ask you to state your name and address for the record, sir?
My name's Tim Lewis of Fort Kelly Road. I bought the property. I'm late to the meeting, unfortunately. I didn't hear everything was discussed. All I could say on the matter right now is you changed it from commercial to medium density residential. If you want to make it commercial again, make the whole area commercial so I could sell my property as commercial. Otherwise, you're taking away from my property.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis. I hate to ask you, but could you repeat that? I'm personally having a hard time hearing you.
What I said was, hold on.
There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, what I said was, you changed it from commercial to medium density residential.
The town of Plaistow did. Yes.
Yes. If you put it back as, if you put commercial property back out behind my house, you take away from my residential value. If you want to put it back as a commercial residence, then I can sell my house as commercial. But you can't be both.
Okay,
You're taking away from the value of my house if you put another commercial property out there. If you want to make the whole area commercial again, then I can sell my house as commercial.
well, that'd be for the planning board and town meeting to vote on.
Right.
That's how,
So let's not allow this.
okay, right now, there's a little discrepancy in what they actually applied for, what ordinance. And I've granted a continuance to let them go regroup, make sure they have it under the right ordinance and come back to us next month. Mr. Lewis. So I guess I would suggest if you have the opportunity, I know it's asking a lot for people at night, you know, working people at night, but if you could participate in next month, I think we can maybe, you'll be able to hear what happens here and offer up an opinion when we ask for people, for comments of people who approve, who support and people who do not support this. Okay,
Also send in an email in advance if you can't make the meeting.
yeah, that would be to DVOSS, DVOS.
Okay, I know that my neighbors,
Oh, we lost you, Mr. Lewis.
yeah, you're breaking up too.
And just to let everybody who might be listening on TV know or anything like that, if they do change anything about this application by continuing it, it would have to be renoticed, so you'd get another notification. This isn't the same kind of continuance as the first one was. If they change anything about the application, it would be renoticed to everybody.
This sounds like something that should be put to a town vote.
Okay, I understand. Well, it's like I
Now,
said,
has my neighbor Sean Murray talked to you tonight?
No, Mr. Chair, I'd like to suggest that if you're going to announce the continuance, that the discussion wait and be continued to the next meeting,
yeah,
so that it can be all cohesive.
yeah, I agree. So yeah, Mr. Lewis, we're gonna hold off until the next meeting.
Hello? He's
Okay.
still there.
So, so this matter is continued, and we're closing the hearing at this point. Everybody will be renoticed, and
Well, not necessarily. If they don't change anything, it won't be renoticed. If they change something, it'll be renoticed. So the best thing to do would be to continue it to the May 27th either way.
right, okay. We are continued to
What are
May
you looking,
27th.
what are you looking to have changed?
He's made his application that he has made. The board's attorney feels it is to the wrong section of the Plaistow zoning ordinances. So our attorney's recommendation is that the board not hear it under this particular ordinance that they've applied under. So they'd like the opportunity to correct the ordinance that they've had it under so that they can get a regular public hearing again.
Okay, is there any way of doing this thing at one of the buildings that we own? So some of my neighbors might not have the technology to be on this meeting.
Sure. By this time next month, and this is a personal feeling, but I think I personally feel there's a good chance of us being in town hall. Things are loosening up sufficiently in the state. I don't know if the selectmen have any guidance for us yet, John?
We do not, but we are thinking about it.
Okay,
Most of the
Because
boards are
I
starting to
feel-
meet in person.
I'm sorry, what?
I feel like they did this on purpose, trying to sneak it through so people wouldn't have the technology.
We've actually been quite successful, Mr. Lewis, in holding public hearings with that, and a few of them have had 4, 5, 6 different people, speaking from the public.
You hear what I'm saying, though?
I
It
do.
wasn't the applicant's decision to have this as a Zoom meeting. It was the board's decision to have it as a Zoom meeting. And they have been meeting this way for a number of months.
Okay, I'm not trying to be difficult. I just,
No, we just want you to understand though, too, sir, just to make sure that you do understand. We don't want anybody walking away thinking anybody got a favoritism or anything like that either. Everybody's treated very fairly by this board.
Okay. That's fine, and I guess I'll see you next month.
Yeah, and if I may say, if you suspect some of your neighbors don't have the technology to get on, you know, they could always join you in your backyard for an adult beverage and to sit around your cell phone.
I just learned how to get on myself last night.
Okay,
Well, see, it wasn't a total loss. You learned a new trick.
Yes. Anyways, have a wonderful evening. And I'll
You as
talk to
well.
you next month.
you as well. Okay, take care now. Okay, so we've continued this and so we're not taking any more testimony or anything from the applicants. And we look forward to hearing from you next month.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Take care now. Dee, do we have anything else before us?
I do not have it.
Alcohol wipe.
Hold on.
No.
There we go.
Thank you.
I don't have anything else.
Okay, in that case, I close this zoning board meeting. Thank you
I
all
have
for
the time,
attending.
I have the time of 7:52.
Yes, so do I. Wow, we're in agreement for once.
Look at that.